Hi there. Had a few requests to do a sort of update video about the state of my shack at my new QTH. The G5RV still up there, swaying in the wind, but working perfectly well. That's a super antenna, which is a kind of VHF, UHF, HF portable antenna, set up at the moment for 2 meters and 70 centimeters, i.e. with just the telescopic. And the reason for that is because the guy that works for me, G1ZMA, also radio ham, he lives about 3 miles away, and it's easier to talk on 2 or 70 rather than mess about on 80 meters. So we're just experimenting with sort of antennas to do that. He did actually construct this collinear out of scrap copper tubing, and we tested it last night, and my signal report was 60 over. So that worked, and with it sat on the carpet on the floor in my shack. So it works extremely well, and I'm toying with the idea of putting it out in the garden somewhere. It is going to be a bit obvious, let's be honest, and there are many ways of constructing a collinear that's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than some copper pipes sort of bolted together, but nevertheless electrically it's very good. So this is the new shack. Lots more space than I had previously, and I haven't tidied up in an effort to keep it real. So there's the rat's nest of cables, mains cables, that we won't dwell on too much. So at this end of the bench is basically my current ham radio setup, which is a Yaesu FT991 and an MFJ 949E matching unit, which right now is connected to the G5RV, and I am trying my hand at FT8, which I don't do very often anymore. So I've got one laptop running WSJT-X version 2.1.2 on 20 meters. I'm kind of testing 20 meters because I'm struggling to make any QSOs on 20 meters since I got here. I'm talking about voice, SSB, but I know conditions on 20 meters have been basically crap for quite a long time. And in fact, I've got another computer here, which is running PSK Reporter, and so I'm just really looking at how far my 40-watt signal is going, and so it's actually looking quite good. I've been decoded here in Brazil, 9,656 kilometers away. So it would appear that my antenna is working quite well, and this has been going, I don't know, about 20 minutes. Excuse me. So there you go. So yeah, I bought these 2 benches from a well-known shop that sells flat pack furniture. I won't give them any free advertising. And on this bench are my main radios. So the ELAD FDM Duo, which currently is being tested and compared to the SDR Play RSP DX. I'm using one antenna now because my hypothesis that my 2 Wellbrooks would provide identical performance wasn't exactly true, and I think it's more scientific to use one antenna anyway. Obviously the ICOM IC R75, one of my all-time favorites. The Yaesu FRG 8800, which I don't use that often, but I did actually use it last night to monitor my Harwell Amateur Radio Society Club members on top band. This is the radio that I wanted when I was a kid, when I used to read the shortwave magazines, and could never afford one, obviously. And then next to that is the legendary Japan Radio Company NRD 525, simply superb. Don't know if you caught my video of VOCM on 590 kilohertz medium wave that I posted. I think I posted it yesterday. Superb reception on that radio with the Wellbrook loop. The FRG 7700. Classic radio from the kind of late 1970s. It's, a keeper. This is the radio that Graham Radio Cruncher kind of renovated for me. Repaired the band selector switch and kind of replaced a load of components in it that could potentially fail in the future. So it should be good to go for another 30 or 40 years if I live that long, which is unlikely. But there you go. So plenty of space to have all my favourite radios out, ready to use. As I said, I'm keeping it real. I haven't tidied up. My great circle maps centered around my QTH for orientating my Wellbrook loops. So there you go. On top of that, there's my Hacker Super Sovereign. Brilliant radio. Shortwave performance, not actually that great. It's just the audio on that radio. It's like a mini hi-fi. Brilliant. And then I've got obviously my portables, the ICF EX5 MK2, loaned to me by a very, very good friend. I still need to do a lot of work with that radio. I haven't really tested it very much, but it is superb. This is the radio, analog, medium wave AM with synchronous detection. A classic for the Japanese kind of home market. And then I think I'm going to sit down for the rest of this because it's going to take a while. My Captain 55, the ICF 76,000 here that was given to me by a gentleman in the jungle. There you go. SW7600G. My WRTHs from 2016 to date. Radio User Magazines, Radcom. What else we got in here? Some old books. My granddad was into radio. He used to repair radios. And two of the books there, these old books here, the radio, television, electrical repairs was his, and the Nunes Everyman's Wireless book by the rather famous F.J. Cam was also his. I think that was published in 1932, if I remember rightly. It's just really nice that my granddad died in 1984. So he's been gone a long time, and but in his memory lives on, because I can remember him having radios in his kind of, he didn't have a shed, he had like a long garage. Back in the old days, garages were big enough to put a car in and do some work in, and he had benches and stuff, and would do electrical repairs. So that was his book, and that means a lot. My Dagon D1103 in the box there still. So just the usual stuff really. The 2001D Sony ATS 803A. Behind that is the Sony 2001, which was a massive disappointment really, if I'm totally honest, that radio. When I saw this radio for the first time, I've said this before, it was like a spaceship had landed. The only thing I'd seen prior to that was like, Binatone World Star kind of esque analog shortwave radio. So when I saw that, I thought it was incredible. But maybe the example I bought doesn't actually isn't a good example. I don't know, but it's not. It hasn't really impressed me for sure. I'm just going to turn down the AF gain on my FT8. And then the ICF SW77, which was given to me by a very good friend, brilliant radio. The Ritec S V115, which I started testing, and I need to do some more work on that. Baofengs for 20 centimeters, 70 centimeters, 2 meters, and just the usual stuff really. So there you go, that's kind of it. It's I reckon I must have about well, getting on for 3 times as much space as I had previously, which is great. And it's just makes the hobby, or conducting the hobby, even more comfortable than being kind of like cooped up in a small room. Okay, so the FT8 is still going, and I've just been decoded in Q8, being decoded in Mauritania, by the looks of that, and obviously in Brazil. So it does look like that's working quite well. So there you go. That's a brief update. I'll probably do another one as things develop here. This is the hub of Oxford Shortwave Log, and this is where I spend a lot of my free time, making videos, sometimes uploading videos, managing the channel, and it is very rewarding. Actually, one radio that's missing here is the Texan PL 880. Quite telling, I suppose, because that radio is actually on my bedside table. I actually use that radio and for kind of listening around the house. Actually, the other radio, there is another radio. is in here. The Binatone World Star, which is it legendary? It's kind of legendary for not being very good, I think, more than anything else.
In
But
Jordan, men aren't allowed to enter a home if the man of the house isn't there.
But for a radio
One woman asked Cowler if she was able to fit
of the 1970s, it's got really, really super audio. And this is the radio that got me interested in shortwave. And although it's really just about pointless in terms of the hobby these days, it's one of those radios that has got kind of quite a lot of well, I'm kind of emotionally attached to it as much as anything else. So so there you go. This is actually a spare bedroom, but that's a sofa bed. So anybody that wants to stay here gets the benefit of listening to my Binatone World Star and not much else. So there you go. So there you go. Right. So anyway, I think that's about it. I'll do another update at some point, but I think for now that's a pretty good summary of what is going on in my shack. So on that note, I'll wish you all a good weekend and good DX. 7-3.